Well, hello. I want to welcome you to another exciting episode of Pens in Use. This week I have quite the plethora of pens open, and well, we'll just dive right into them. And then I'll update you a little bit on Science Olympiad and so on toward the end of this video. So if videos like this interest you, where I talk about fountain pens, both new and old and at all price points, I would invite you to subscribe. If you'd like to comment on any of the pens seen here, please feel free to leave a comment down below. So let's dive into it. So the pens I have in use this week, quite the plethora, like I said. I have a Platinum 3776 with a koi finish. I have a Waterman's Taperite. This is the Canadian version. I have a Rexall Monogram. And these two pens are likely to be upcoming reviews. Lamy 2000, as always. Kaweco Perkeo, which may also be an upcoming review. This one I've got to double check. I'm unsure of the name, but I'm going with Soviet EXC from the 1980s. A Parker Vacuumatic. A Jinhao X10. A Kaweco Liliput. Kind of similar sizes there, aren't they cute? A Kaweco Sport. And a Tatung 717. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to use her name, so I won't, but a viewer recently sent me some ink samples, so you'll see a lot of those ink samples in use tonight. And I will start off with this Platinum 3776, because sad to say, I have to clean this thing this weekend, empty it out, because this weekend I am filming the massive Platinum 3776 review that you won't see till October. And you probably won't hear me talk about it again, except once a month maybe when you see a Platinum reappear in the rotation. This one doesn't have to sit for months on end because it lacks the slip and seal mechanism, so it's going to be the first one I write with. I was going to use Mobile Black, but I am thinking with another pen, which I'm not ready to share on this channel yet, but I purchased a pen and it came with 10 black platinum cartridges. I never use cartridges, but I'm leaning towards using these to ink up these 3776s and make them all the same that way. I was going to use the same ink, but yeah, I was going to go with that. So let's take a look at how these guys write. As always, using my Bomo Art Journal from Budapest, Hungary. So of course this is the celluloid finish on the Platinum 3776. Koi finish, which is a type of decorative fish. I think it's very attractive. The seam shows how it's made. Some people don't like the seam, but I like it. And it's got a very rich, deep appearance because of the celluloid. I won't say some acrylics can't come close, but it is pretty. I don't know if I would have paid full price for it, but I was lucky enough to purchase this one for about the price of a regular special edition Platinum 3776. So at that price, I was willing to do it. So it's a Platinum 3776. I have the broad nib in this, and I really like the broad nib on this model. The ink is, sorry, from a competitor. There are a few platinum inks that are okay, but I'm not a huge fan. So this is Sailor Jentle Ultramarine. A very attractive dark blue with vague hints of some sheen on it. My next pen is a Waterman's Taperite. I said it before that it's Canadian, because it is. A couple ways you can tell. There's the screw cap. Ooh, and we leaked. Yick. So we need a cloth, don't we, you monster? I'm not sure what leaked, but gross. This hasn't been a regular issue with this pen, so I'm not sure what the deal is. But anyway, screw cap. Another way you can tell it's Canadian is when you try and take it apart. It's a lot easier to take the section out and not break it. I have, or had, an American Taperite and trying to get the section out so I could replace the sack, the whole thing shattered. And when you look at how it's constructed inside, I don't feel bad that I shattered it. So this one I think inked itself because it was sitting in a bag all day getting jostled around. I don't have a nib size, but that looks fine. And the ink is Pilot Iroshizuku Chiku Rin, which is what, bamboo forest or something. I'll just be honest, this isn't my favorite of my vintage pens. When I get around to reviewing it, which hopefully will be soon, I'll talk about why. The fact that it leaked ink is something new to add to the story. Well, not a bad looking pen, it's just not one of Waterman's finest pens. Next one is a surprise. This is a generic drugstore pen. It's a Rexall. It's a Monogram pen made for the Rexall drugstore. Probably in the 1920s or so. Hoping for a review soon. We'll just call it a Rexall Monogram. Now, other than the fact that the nib seems to do this whenever I write with it, this is actually a very nice pen. The ink in it is one I'd never heard of, but it was sent to me by a viewer, Krishna. And I wish I would have realized this before I inked it up. It's one of those sparkly inks. So cleaning this sack filler should be fun. But it is an attractive ink. It's kind of like the Zerbon 1670 Rouge Hematite. As always, my Lamy 2000 is my daily writer. Earlier this week, I reviewed a Fine Point Platinum 3776 and said, "Ooh, but I don't know if it would ever be my daily writer." That's because I like this thing. I like this thing a lot. It's just such a good writer. Such a straightforward pen. Can handle any ink I put at it. At the same time, the nib has just a little bit of a shape to it to give your writing some interest. Just a great pen. Mostly out of curiosity and for review purposes. More curiosity than anything, because I have plenty of pens to review right now. I purchased a Kaweco Perkeo. This is meant to compete in the lower cost market. I'll be honest, when I got it and pulled it out, the first thing that came to my mind was trash can. Here's the bottom of the trash can, and this reminds me of the lid. But you have to get past those appearances. How does the thing actually write? It has a standard Kaweco nib. They did recently start coming out with a gold nib, but this isn't it, of course. Robert Oster Jade. So maybe I should have purchased a different color pen. It writes all right. It's reasonably comfortable, but it's entering a market where it has some well-established competitors, and I'm not sure it has what it takes to compete. There's nothing particularly special or compelling about it like there is with some of the other Kaweco models like the Sport or the Liliput. This is an interesting pen I purchased quite a long ways back, and you can see that sparkly ink thing going on here again. Yeah, I wish I would have checked on that before I filled all these pens. This one, so I have it off screen because I'm shaking the sparkles loose. This one has a nice little filling mechanism that works surprisingly well. Has a nice bladder that you squeeze. And inside here you can't see it, but there's a little feeder tube. And it quickly fills up with ink. Just, I don't know, it's not like a Parker Vacuumatic or anything, but it does a good job. It's not as god-awful as you'd think. There is no branding on the pen. It's just totally plain. Oh, I see a little ink on that grip section too. Yay. This is a pen that's under evaluation. It's not ready for a review. I'm not 100% sure even what it's called. The eBay where I bought it called it a Soviet EXC. It's from the 1980s. And let's see, what's the ink? Krishna. Sakthy? I don't know. I know absolutely nothing about this brand. You know, the word Krishna makes me think it's of Indian manufacturer, but I don't even know that. This particular pen, though, has a stainless steel nib. If that means anything to anybody. I have actually recently discovered that I can see better on the camera when I'm trying to do these close-ups and read the nibs than I can with my naked eye. I'm not sure what that means, but it is a thing. Last week I had my Parker Vacuumatic out. I made some rather controversial statements about how dry and how stiff the nib is. Well, it is. Oh, that's new. Yeah, I think it's just as well I didn't decide to review this pen. Something must have happened here. Or sometimes you find that a pen just really hates a specific ink. And that's possible in this case. The ink is Kyo-iro. Ohara's Morning Snow. By the way, I did this all real time. While I was doing that, we got a nice little blob of Ohara's Morning Snow. Kind of matches the 5 inches of snow I woke up to on Tuesday this week. Yay. Melted by noon, but you know. This was sent by a viewer just to try out. It's a Jinhao X10. It's a pocket pen. It's comparable in size to the Kaweco Liliput, but not a screw cap at all. It's just a slip cap. Fits nicely. I'm kind of thinking I need to do a pocket pen review. I'm holding this a weird angle to me because I don't want to run my hands through the ink blob. So Jinhao X10, I don't have a nib size. The ink in this, also sent by that same viewer. Oops, and I started that a line too early. Colorverse, which is a brand I'm somewhat interested in and probably at some point will be trying. Colorverse Electron. I guess if I was making inks, I probably would have made this more of a blue or kind of a green, but that's just me. I'll talk more about this at the end of the video, but I went to NDSU this week with, or last week with some students. I'd like to do a Pens on the Road where I talk a little bit about that and share some travel footage. This was one of the pens that traveled with me. This is my Kaweco Liliput, which turns out I really, really like. I'm ridiculously happy with it. It's attractive. It's unique, and yet it's small and portable. And again, I'm holding it funny so I don't run my hands through the blob of ink. This has the fine point nib on it, and the ink is Kaweco Pearl Black. Yes, it's a cartridge, but I had a pack of Kaweco cartridges. The other pen that came with me this week, or last week when I went to Fargo with all those students, was this one. Kaweco Sport, which is a pretty nice pen. More standard feeling. Again, I'm trying not to run my hand through the blob of ink. It's a little thicker pen. Same nib, by the way. And this ink is Pelikan 4001 dark green or dunkelgreen. Sorry, trying to get my umlauts right. You wouldn't believe I took a semester of German back in college. Mostly forgotten now, sadly. And my last one, Chinese pen from the 1970s. This was sent, possibly 1970s. Anyway, this was sent to me by a viewer who wasn't real sure what it was. Let's just take a quick gander at the nib here. See, I like that because that says not made for American buyers. I mean, that's not literally what that translates as, but you know, the fact that it's there kind of says, oh, but then this says, oh yeah, we are making it for American buyers, so let down. This has a piston mechanism, kind of like a Noodler's Ahab. This is a plunge piston. So I haven't run into this brand among the new Chinese pens. I don't know if the name is defunct or what's going on. The ink in it, another one sent by that viewer, is SBRE. Oops, and you can't see it. I apologize. SBRE Brown. Named for the famous, world famous fountain pen reviewer. So those are the pens and inks that I have in use this week. Kind of a wild collection, but I had to go scant over the weekend and I overcompensated. Working on my video for the 3776. I have all the different nib sizes to review and then test the slip and seal mechanism and open up one per month and test them. So because of another pen that I purchased, I have these 10 platinum black cartridges that I decided I'm going to put in them. So that'll be hard letting those 3776s sit for so long, but I suspect what will happen is that my favorites will be the ones that I test first and my least favorites I test last, and that may tell me something. Over the weekend I took the furnace is starting up, and I promised in my last video that I filmed just a few minutes ago that I would pay better attention, but I did. Anyway, I took some students to Fargo for State Science Olympiad. You know, as expected, we didn't score too well, but you know, we're working with a half-size team of junior high kids who've never been to state before, so take our little small victories. So I'm not sure when, but soon, we'll do a Pens on the Road. I'll show you a little bit of footage from the campus. Legally, I could show some student photos because it's public event, so you don't have the privacy or FERPA concerns, but I'm going to not. But I'll show you some of what's going on, because there's some interesting stuff going on there, and NDSU is a nice campus. So if videos like this interest you, where I talk about fountain pens at all price points, both new and old, I would invite you to subscribe. If you'd like to talk about anything that I've shown in this video or discussed in this video, please feel free to leave a comment down below. And as always, I thank you for watching. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.